If you clicked on this video because the typical advice to study at the library or remove distractions to magically make you focus didn't work, then you're in the right place. Because throughout my undergrad and master's degree and now at med school, I made a reliable way to focus using a 4-part strategy called the Venn method. And it helps me maximize focus and study efficiently so that I have enough time left in the day for the things I care about. And it's going to do the same for you. And I had some comments from some of you with ADHD, so stick around for the bonus point that's been shown to help anyone focus. So let's start with a problem we all have. Why is it that when you're on your phone or watching TV, you can focus straight away without much effort, but when you have to study, you can't get yourself to focus and you keep getting distracted? What this shows to me is that we don't have a problem with focusing since we can do that on our phone. And I realized it's because there's a predetermined goal, which is using your phone to be entertained and to unwind. So to get over that initial barrier to focus for studying, you need to improve your clarity by having a predetermined goal for studying as well. Because by having a clear goal, your brain has something to work towards. And when you achieve that goal, you get a hit of dopamine that makes you want to keep on going, like how you keep scrolling on your phone. And the goal makes your brain less confused on what to do because it's aware of that target you set for it to work towards. So make very specific and frequent goals when you study. Like right now, I set specific goals like doing 20 questions on psychiatry and write notes on conditions I saw at hospital on that day. And for you at school or university, those targets could be to go through 20 pages of your textbook or lecture notes, or write up the introduction of your essay. Okay, so now you know how to get that initial focus, but how do you maintain it for more than just 10 minutes? Normally, people say to get rid of distractions, but I do the opposite, and I'll get to why after. Because first, the best way to focus for hours is to apply progressive overload for focus. Similar to how I'd increase the weights I lift over time to get physically stronger, for focus, I'd increase how long I focus for to get mentally stronger. And I'd do it in a specific way. First, I'd set a timer as soon as I start working. And when I find myself losing focus, I stop the timer. And this becomes my baseline focus time. So after a short break, I try to beat that focus time by maybe another 10 or 20 minutes. And that time keeps on increasing as I get better. And back when my focus time got high enough, I stepped up and started measuring tasks instead of time as my baseline for focus. So in my earlier example of doing 20 questions and writing up notes, initially I'd focus for the 20 questions, then take a short break and then write up the notes. But now I do the tasks one after the other, fully focused without breaks. So this baseline focus time's good for getting a personalized way to focus for longer, because it gets you a bit out of your comfort zone, which you need to get better. And I mentioned to not get rid of distractions, because the way I see it is you can literally get distracted by nothing. So if you can prove to yourself that you can focus when obvious distractions are there, you take control over your distractions instead of believing that just your phone is enough to stop you. But focusing longer doesn't mean much if you still take a lot of time to get through things. For example, you might give yourself the whole day to get an essay done, and just because you got it done at the end of the day, you think you focused quite well, even if it wasn't actually efficient. So we want to make sure we have deep focus to make our study sessions as effective as possible. And the way to do this is to actively focus, and this has 2 parts. The first is to actively engage and avoid going through information without absorbing it. And the simplest way to actively engage is to regularly summarize what you're learning. Like my lectures are normally divided into sections. Once I get to the end of one section, like a section on treatments for a condition, I'd briefly summarize it to show that I've been actively focusing on what I'm learning instead of passively going through it and not really engaging. So if you're at school or uni, break down your content into smaller chunks, or just test yourself for a few minutes on what you've been learning over the past 30 minutes or an hour to see how much you can remember. And the second part of this is to apply Parkinson's law, and that's making a time constraint for getting through a certain amount of work. Like before, I'd think, oh, I'll make sure to write my essay today, but not set a specific time limit. So I'd end up losing focus throughout the day and only regain it towards the end when I rushed to meet that deadline. But when I started giving myself 3 hours to write an essay, I gave myself pressure knowing that if I don't focus, I won't finish in time and I won't meet my goal. And that gives a healthy bit of stress to improve focus and performance. Now the next part of this strategy has been a reliable way to help anyone, and seemingly a lot of people with ADHD, regain focus. Because I know there's a lot of times where I'd be focusing pretty well, then for literally 2 seconds I lose focus, and that could be enough to destroy any momentum. And what you can do to keep that momentum when this happens is practice refocus meditation. And look, whether meditation works for you or not, this is different. Because all this involves is sitting for just 13 minutes, focusing on your breathing and on a point just an inch into your forehead. And whenever you find your thoughts moving away from your breathing or that point on your head, then just realign your focus to them. Because you might find that every 20 seconds or even every 5 seconds, your brain moves away from those two thoughts. But by bringing your attention back to them, you train networks in your brain to repeatedly return to a state of focus. So over time, your brain uses this technique of refocusing when you study because it becomes hyper aware of when it loses focus. And there's no excuse to not try it out just once, because 13 minutes for hours of focus sounds worth the try. So focusing properly is a big part of getting work done. But the problem is, most people don't study in a way that helps them learn as much and as efficiently as possible. So in this video here, I'll talk about the diamond study system I use that helps me remember everything I learned at med school with only 2 hours of studying a day. And you can learn how to do this by watching the video.